Subscribe now so you do not miss the secret announcement coming soon. Amara Cole learned there are two kinds of rooms. Rooms that ask you to enter, and rooms that decide what you will become before you sit down. The room in Seoul did not ask. It waited. It had black glass walls, a black table, and a contract so white it looked almost violent under the overhead light. Across from Amara sat Han Yo-rin, Saul's envoy from Seoul, a woman with a jade hairpin, a cream coat, and the calm face of someone who had ruined families without raising her voice. Kang Seo-jun stood behind Amara, exactly where she had asked him to stand. Not beside her, not in front of her, behind her. Far enough to prove he remembered the difference between protection and possession. Han Yo-rin placed a silver pen on the table. "Sign," she said. "And every person you love leaves this room alive." Amara did not look at the pen. She looked at the table. No shadow fell beneath it. Then her phone lit up. Unknown number. No, not unknown. Her father's number. Samuel Cole had been dead for 12 years. The message had 6 words. "Do not sign where the table has no shadow." Amara's hand went cold. Seo-jun saw the color leave her face. Han Yo-rin smiled for the first time. And that was when Amara understood the inheritance had never been the prize. She was. 20 hours earlier, Amara had only wanted noodles. That was the embarrassing part. After the wedding that was not a wedding anymore, after her sister stood in her dress and her ex-fiancé watched investors walk out of the chapel like rats leaving a sinking ship, after her mother told her she had embarrassed the family, Amara Cole wanted one human thing: food. Not revenge, not strategy, not another explanation from dangerous men in expensive coats. Noodles. Kang Seo-jun had said he knew a place. Of course he knew a place. The restaurant sat in a narrow Los Angeles side street behind a laundromat and a pharmacy with a flickering green cross. It was small enough to look ordinary and careful enough not to be. There were no bright signs, no waiting crowd, no hostess asking for names, just a wooden door. A bell that did not ring when Seo-jun opened it, and a back exit Amara noticed before she noticed the menu. Seo-jun noticed her noticing. "You are choosing the table," he said. "I am choosing the exit first." His mouth moved like he wanted to smile but had forgotten the legal procedure. "Oh, good. Stop approving me." "I was approving the architecture." Amara looked at him. "You are impossible." "Often." The restaurant owner, a woman with silver hair and no interest in questions, brought tea without asking. She did not bow to Seo-jun. She did not stare at Amara. She simply placed 2 cups down and left. That should have comforted Amara. It did not. Ordinary silence had become suspicious. She wrapped both hands around the cup and let the heat sting her palms. For the first time since the unknown number had lit her phone, no one was chasing her. No one was demanding her signature. No one was calling her selfish for refusing to be robbed politely. Across from her, Seo-jun sat with his coat still on. Not relaxed, never relaxed, but still. That was different. Men like Evan filled quiet with explanations. They could not sit inside a woman's silence without trying to rent space in it. Seo-jun did not speak. He watched the door, the window, the reflection in the metal napkin holder, and somehow Amara at the same time. "Do you ever stop counting exits?" she asked. "No. That sounds exhausting." "Being alive usually is." She hated that answer because it did not ask to be liked. The noodles came in white bowls, steam rising in ribbons. Amara picked up her chopsticks, then stopped. Seo-jun noticed. "What is wrong?" "Nothing." That word is rarely honest. Amara looked down into the broth. "I used to come to places like this with my father." Seo-jun's face changed, only slightly, a door opening 1 inch inside a locked house. "Samuel liked noodle shops?" "Samuel liked anywhere people were too busy eating to perform." She swallowed. "He said restaurants tell you who people are, not by how they eat, but by how they treat people who bring them food." Seo-jun looked toward the kitchen. He was right. "You knew him?" "Not well enough." That answer was too careful. Amara set the chopsticks down. Try again. Seo-jun looked back at her. Your father saved mine. That is the version you told me. It is true. Truth can still be unfinished. For a moment, the restaurant seemed to hold its breath. Then the silver-haired owner returned. She did not bring food. She brought a small folded receipt, placed it beside Amara's bowl, and walked away. Amara frowned. We did not pay. Seo-jun reached for the receipt. Amara got there first. Their fingers almost touched. He stopped before they did. Always enough space now. That was how she knew he was still trying. Amara unfolded the paper. There was no price, only one sentence in black ink. Your father lied better than all of us. Amara's appetite vanished. Seo-jun's hand moved to the inside of his jacket. Do not, Amara said. He froze. I said do not. This place was clean. Then someone made it dirty. Oh, sit down. His eyes cut to hers. Amara. There it was. Her name in his mouth. Not soft, not yet, but different from Miss Cole, different from owner, different from asset. She folded the receipt once, twice, then placed it under her phone. No one is running this time, she said. The phone buzzed. Not Janelle, not Priya. Unknown number. The message read, ask him what Saul wanted from Samuel. Amara looked up. Seo-jun had already seen the screen reflected in her eyes. For the first time since she had met him, Kang Seo-jun looked afraid. The first rule of inheriting a world built by men is that everyone calls it temporary. Temporary ownership, temporary confusion, temporary paperwork, temporary grief. They say temporary because they are already measuring the room for themselves. By 9:12 the next morning, Amara stood inside the port office her father had once entered through the service door. Now her name was on the glass. Not Evan's, not Maya's, not her mother's. Amara Denise Cole, owner. The word looked too clean for what it had cost. Outside the window, cranes moved over the harbor like patient giants. Containers sat stacked in red, blue, and rusted green, each one sealed, numbered, and moving through a system most people never questioned because their lives arrived on time. Phones, shoes, furniture, medicine, secrets. Her father had worked inside that world for 31 years. He had known which container was heavy before the manifest admitted it. Which ship was late because of weather, and which one was late because someone had paid for darkness. Which men smiled in daylight and changed invoices after midnight. Amara had inherited the office, but the office had inherited her first. Priya Shah arrived at 9:16 with 2 coffees, a rolling briefcase, and the expression of a woman who had already fought 3 legal fires before breakfast. Janelle came behind her wearing sunglasses indoors. Do not judge me, Janelle said. I slept for 90 minutes and one of those minutes was legally a blink. Amara almost smiled. Where is Seo-jun? Parking level, Priya said. Janelle removed the sunglasses. No, he is doing that Mafia statue thing near the elevators. He is not my statue. Correct. Statues are less expensive and usually less emotionally complicated. Priya placed a folder on the conference table. Before we discuss emotionally complicated Korean men, we have a problem. Amara sat. Only one? The morning is young. Priya opened the folder. Inside were 3 motions, 2 letters, and a copy of a medical form Amara had never seen before. Your mother signed an affidavit last night. The room became cold in a way the air conditioning could not explain. Janelle leaned forward. What affidavit? Priya did not look away from Amara. Naomi Cole claims you are under duress, emotionally unstable, and being manipulated by a foreign criminal organization. Amara blinked once, not because she was surprised, because some wounds are not shocking. They are simply precise. Priya continued. She is supporting an emergency petition to freeze the transfer of operational control until a competency hearing can be scheduled. Janelle stood up. I know we are in a place with a lot of water, but I need someone to hold me back before I drown a woman in paperwork. Sit down, Amara said. Janelle sat, but angrily. Amara looked at the affidavit. Her mother's signature was at the bottom, elegant and final. Naomi Cole, the same hand that once signed school field trip forms, the same hand that wrote Amara's name on lunch bags when Samuel died and nobody knew how to keep living, the same hand that had pinned a veil into Maya's hair while Amara watched her own dress become evidence. "She filed it after the chapel," Amara said. "At 7:43 p.m., Priya said. "Fast enough to suggest the document was prepared before the chapel," Janelle whispered. "That woman came with bullets already loaded." Amara turned the page. There were screenshots of her getting into Seo-jun's black car, a still image from the hotel lobby, another of him standing behind her outside the chapel, context removed, danger rearranged, protection made to look like captivity. Amara thought of all the times her mother had told her not to make things worse. Now she understood. Worse had always meant visible. "What do they need from the freeze?" Amara asked. Priya's eyes sharpened. "That is the right question." She removed a blue sheet from the folder. "If operational control freezes for even 72 hours, emergency authority passes to the interim board." "Who is on the interim board?" Priya slid the page across. Amara read 3 names. One was Evan Royce. One was a retired shipping executive she had met once at a fundraiser. The last was blank, not redacted, blank. "Why is there no name?" Priya took a slow breath. "Because the 3rd seat is assigned by the sole guarantor." Janelle looked between them. "I do not like the way everyone keeps saying Seoul like it is a person." Amara looked toward the glass wall. Seo-jun stood outside the conference room now, not entering, waiting to be invited. Behind him, Hyen spoke into a phone. Amara lifted the blue sheet. "Who is the sole guarantor?" Priya looked at the door. The answer came from behind the glass before Priya could speak. Seo-jun entered without being called. That alone told Amara the answer was bad. "Saul," he said. Janelle pointed at him. "No, full sentence. We are done accepting one-name horror." Seo-jun's face did not change. "Saul Han controls the guarantor seat." Priya closed the folder. "If the freeze goes through, Saul can put a person inside Amara's company by tomorrow morning." Amara looked at the blank name. It felt less like an empty space than an open mouth. Then her phone buzzed again. This time the message came from Janelle's burner. Except Janelle was sitting across from her, and her burner was on the table. The message read, "The blank seat already has a body. There are lies strangers tell you, then there are lies family files in triplicate." Naomi Cole's affidavit was not emotional. That made it worse. It did not say Amara was angry. Anger would have sounded human. It said Amara had displayed erratic decision-making. It said she had been isolated from family support. It said she had formed a sudden dependency on Kang Seo-jun, a man the affidavit described as foreign, violent, and unknown to the Cole family. Unknown. Amara stared at that word until it blurred. Her mother had known his name before Amara said it. That was the first crack. The second was hidden in the medical attachment. Priya read it twice, then a 3rd time. "This is not a current evaluation," she said. Janelle leaned over her shoulder. "What does that mean?" "It means someone used an old grief counseling intake from after Samuel died and repackaged it as evidence of present instability." Amara did not move. For a second, she was 19 again, sitting in a beige room with a paper cup of water, listening to a counselor ask whether she had thoughts of harming herself, while her mother waited outside with both hands pressed around a purse like prayer. Amara had said no. She had said she was sad. She had said she missed her father. She had said sometimes the house felt too quiet. 12 years later, her mother had turned that grief into a weapon. "Can she do that?" Janelle asked. Priya's mouth tightened. "People can file anything. Whether it survives is another question." "Then kill it." "I intend to." The phone on the table rang. Not Amara's. Priya's office line. The receptionist's voice came through the speaker. "Ms. Shaw, there is a Detective Bell here for Ms. Cole." Janelle whispered. "Of course there is." Priya pressed the button. Send him in. Detective Aaron Bell entered like a man who had learned not to trust expensive furniture. He was in his 40s, brown suit, tired eyes, no wedding ring, and a notebook that looked used instead of theatrical. He did not look at Seo-jun first. That gave Amara the first small reason not to hate him. He looked at her. Ms. Cole. Detective. I am here because your mother filed a concern report and because your apartment was entered again this morning. Amara's hand tightened around the armrest. Janelle's face changed. Again? Bell opened his notebook. Building manager found the lock damaged at 6:40. No one inside. Desk drawers opened, closet emptied. No visible theft according to the preliminary report. Amara heard the words as if they were traveling through water. Closet emptied. Maya had worn her dress. Now someone had gone through the rest. What were they looking for? Bell asked. No one spoke. Bell looked at Seo-jun then. Mr. Kang. Seo-jun did not correct him. Detective. I am going to ask you a simple question. Those are rarely simple. Did you remove property from Ms. Cole's apartment? No. Do you know who did? Possibly. Bell sighed. That is the kind of answer that makes my paperwork breed. Amara almost laughed. It came out wrong. Bell turned back to her. Ms. Cole, do you want to make a statement? Priya answered before she could. With counsel present, yes. Bell nodded. Good. Because right now the story being built around you is moving faster than the facts. By my mother, Amara said. By your mother, your ex-fiancé, and at least one person with access to court filings before they become public. Janelle looked at Priya. The blank seat. Priya's eyes went cold. Bell heard it. What blank seat? Amara looked at Seo-jun. He was watching her, not the detective, waiting. Behind her, not deciding. Amara turned back to Bell. If I tell you, detective, you are going to decide whether I sound kidnapped or insane. Bell closed the notebook. Ms. Cole, I have worked financial crimes for 14 years. Rich people make the truth sound insane on purpose. For the first time that morning, Amara believed someone outside her circle might understand the room. So she told him. Not everything. Enough. She told him about Evan needing the phone, about the contract, about the chapel, about the freeze, about the blank seat. She did not tell him about the message from her father's dead number. Not yet. Some truths need witnesses, others need timing. When she finished, Detective Bell looked at the papers, then at Naomi Cole's affidavit. Your mother says she is trying to protect you. Amara's laugh was small and empty. Everyone does. Bell studied her. And what do you say? Amara looked down at the affidavit, then at her father's pendant, warm against her throat. I say protection without consent is just ownership wearing a clean coat. No one spoke. Then Amara's phone buzzed again. This message came from the dead number. She did not file the first lie. Amara's chest tightened. Detective Bell saw her face. Ms. Cole? Amara turned the phone over before he could read it. Too late, she understood. The warning was not defending her mother. It was telling her Naomi had not acted alone. Saul did not come to Los Angeles. Men like Saul did not move first. They sent weather. Han Yo-rin arrived at 3:03 p.m. in a cream coat that had not wrinkled during a 13-hour flight and a jade hairpin sharp enough to look ceremonial or useful depending on the light. She walked through the port office lobby without raising her voice. The receptionist stood before asking her name. Hyen stopped talking mid-sentence. Bae Seo-jun went still in a way that made every quiet thing in the room seem too loud. Amara noticed that. She noticed everything now. Fear had not made her stupid. It had made her archival. Han Yo-rin stopped 6 feet away and inclined her head. Amara Cole. You know my name. Your father made it expensive to forget. Seo-jun's jaw tightened. Amara heard the sentence beneath the sentence. Samuel had not only known these people, he had cost them. Han placed a black envelope on the reception desk. No logo, no return address, only Amara's name written in Korean and English. Seo-jun spoke first. Saul was told not to contact her directly. Han looked at him. And yet here I am. You should leave. You should have stayed in Seoul. The air changed. Not dramatically. Danger rarely announces itself with violins. It changes how people breathe. Amara picked up the envelope before either of them could turn the room into a battlefield she had not chosen. If this is for me, she said, I open it. Han's eyes moved to the pendant at Amara's throat. You have Samuel's manners. That was not an answer. No, Han said. It was a warning. Amara opened the envelope. Inside was a single photograph. Samuel Cole stood younger, thinner, alive. Beside him stood a Korean man Amara did not recognize. Between them stood a girl, maybe 7, black hair in 2 puffballs, gap-toothed smile. Amara. Her hand shook before she could stop it. She had never seen the photograph. Seo-jun stepped closer, then stopped, not touching, still learning. Han watched both movements. Saul wants a meeting, she said. Amara forced her voice steady. Yes, Saul can email my lawyer. Han's mouth curved. Your lawyer cannot answer questions your father hid inside your childhood. Janelle appeared from the hallway at exactly the wrong time, which was often exactly the right time. I know this woman did not just weaponize baby Amara in the lobby. Han looked at Janelle with polite disinterest. And you are? Her problem, if necessary. Loyalty is charming when it is young. Condescension is boring at every age. Hyen made a sound that might have been a cough. Seo-jun did not move. Amara stared at the photograph. Samuel's hand rested on her small shoulder. The Korean man beside him had Seo-jun's eyes. Not exactly, but close enough. Who is he? Amara asked. Seo-jun answered. My father. The lobby disappeared for a second. The black car, the contract, the warning. Samuel saving Seo-jun's father. A photograph of Amara as a child standing between the 2 men. There had always been a before. Everyone had simply waited until now to admit she was in it. Han slid a second item from the envelope, a boarding pass. Los Angeles to Seoul. Amara laughed once. No, Han did not blink. The meeting is in 36 hours. Then Saul will be lonely. If you do not come, the emergency freeze proceeds. Your mother will testify. Evan will testify. The blank seat will be filled. And whatever Samuel built to protect you will become the cage he feared. Amara looked at Seo-jun. This time his face did not hide enough. You knew, she said. I knew Saul would call. That is not what I asked. He said nothing. The silence answered first. Amara folded the boarding pass in half, then in half again. I am not flying to Seoul because a powerful man sent a woman with a photograph. Han's expression did not change. No, she said. You will fly because the next warning will tell you to. Amara's phone buzzed. No one moved. The dead number glowed on the screen. The girl in the photograph heard the promise. Amara did not go home that night. Home had become a place people entered when they wanted pieces of her. Instead, she stayed in the port office conference room with Janelle, Priya, 3 locked doors, and 1 gold pendant that had suddenly stopped feeling sentimental. The pendant had been Samuel's gift on her 18th birthday. Not expensive, not dramatic, a small gold oval on a thin chain. Her father had fastened it around her neck with hands that smelled faintly of motor oil and peppermint. For when rooms forget who you are, he had said. At 18, Amara thought that meant love. At 31, she was beginning to suspect her father never said only one thing at a time. Janelle leaned over the pendant with a jeweler's lens she had borrowed from an evidence kit Detective Bell pretended not to notice. I am going to say something wild. Priya did not look up. Given the week, wild has a high bar. This pendant has a seam. Amara's stomach tightened. A seam. A very tiny, very annoying seam. Which means your father gave you jewelry with a secret compartment because apparently nobody in this story believed in normal keepsakes. Priya lifted her head. Can you open it without damaging it? Janelle looked offended. I once opened a landlord's locked filing cabinet with a bobby pin and righteous anger. That is not an answer. It is a resume. Amara stared at the pendant. She wanted to stop. That was the truth she did not say. She wanted one object in her life to mean only what she thought it meant. She wanted her father's gift to be a father's gift. She wanted the dead to stay loving instead of useful. Seo-jun stood outside the glass wall. Not inside. She had asked for space. He had given it. That should have made the room easier. It made it harder. Because obedience from a dangerous man is still a kind of pressure when your heart notices. "Open it," Amara said. Janelle worked for 3 minutes. No one spoke. Then the pendant clicked. Not loudly, not dramatically, just enough for Amara to feel 12 years of grief shift inside her chest. Inside was no photograph, no letter, no tiny romantic confession from a father who knew he might die. There was a strip of transparent film. On it, printed so small it looked like dust, were 6 numbers and 2 words. Priya photographed it under the desk lamp and enlarged the image. The numbers became coordinates. The words became a name. Osprey Dawn. Janelle sat back. That sounds like either a yacht, a military operation, or a perfume for women who marry villains. Priya typed quickly. Osprey Dawn is not a vessel currently listed under that name. Currently, Amara said. Priya looked at her. Amara heard her father's voice inside the word. Manifests change their clothes, Mara. Numbers do not. She took the laptop and searched the coordinates. The map loaded slowly. Los Angeles Harbor. Warehouse Bay 17. Janelle's humor disappeared. That is local. Priya checked the port records. Bay 17 is leased through a shell company. Owned by? Priya's fingers moved, then stopped. Royce Freight. The name sat in the room like smoke. Evan. Always Evan. Not clever enough to build the machine, greedy enough to stand near the handle. Amara looked toward the glass wall. Seo-jun was watching her. This time she motioned him in. He entered but stopped at the end of the table. No closer. Amara pointed to the enlarged image. What is Osprey Dawn? Seo-jun looked at it. His face emptied. That was worse than fear. A route, he said. For what? He looked at Priya, then Janelle, then back at Amara. People who need new names. The room became very quiet. Janelle's voice changed. You mean criminals? Sometimes, Priya understood first, and sometimes, Seo-jun did not blink. Sometimes people who did not choose to disappear. Amara stood. My father's company moved stolen identities? No, Seo-jun said. Your father found the route. Then why was it in my pendant? Because he could not shut it down before he died. The phone buzzed again. Dead number. Amara did not pick it up. For a moment no one did. Then Janelle read it aloud. Osprey Dawn moves when the daughter signs. Amara closed her eyes. The wedding, the phone, the contract, the freeze. All of it had been a hand around the same pen. They had not needed her dead. They had needed her willing, or willing enough to fake. Evan Royce asked to meet at 10:40 p.m. He used Priya's office line, not Amara's phone. That was how she knew he was either learning or terrified. Both made him dangerous. Priya arranged the meeting in a glass-walled interview room with a recorder on the table, Detective Bell outside the door, and Janelle watching from the hallway like a woman selecting where to hide a body in a legal building. Seo-jun did not come inside. Amara had not asked him to. That was becoming a language between them. Distance offered, distance accepted. Evan looked smaller under fluorescent light. Not repentant. Small. There is a difference. Repentance looks at the damage. Smallness looks for the exit. Amara, he said. No. He blinked. I did not ask anything. You were about to use my name like a towel. No. His mouth tightened. There he was. The man beneath the panic. I can help you. You can testify. That depends. Amara sat across from him. Then you cannot help me. Evan leaned forward. You do not understand what is happening. I understand you built a company on my labor, left me for my sister. Tried to steal my phone, stood at an altar in front of investors, and now need something. The words struck him one by one. He recovered badly. Maya is missing. Amara's face did not move. Janelle's did, outside the glass. Missing since when? This afternoon. After the court filing went in, she panicked. Maya panics when a nail breaks. Not like this. He reached into his jacket. Detective Bell opened the door instantly. Evan froze. Easy, Bell said. Evan removed a folded blue paper and placed it on the table. She left this in my car. Bell took it first, checked it, then handed it to Amara. It was a copy of a warehouse access schedule, Bay 17, Osprey Dawn, tonight. Amara looked at Evan. Why did Maya have this? Because she was supposed to bring the phone. The room sharpened. To whom? Evan rubbed both hands over his face. Park's people. And you were what? An innocent fiancé in a stolen tuxedo? I did not know what Osprey Dawn was. You knew enough to chase my phone. Because Park said the phone verified the transfer. What transfer? Evan swallowed. Operational control. The route. The freeze was back up. Priya's voice came through the speaker from the observation room. Keep talking, Mr. Royce. Evan looked toward the mirror. I want immunity. Janelle's voice carried through the glass. I want Beyoncé tickets. Life disappoints. Amara did not look away from Evan. What did Maya know? More than me. Try again. She knew your mother had signed something years ago. Amara's body went still. What did Naomi sign? Evan shook his head. I do not have it. Who does? Maya took the blue folder. Where is she? He looked genuinely afraid then. Not for Maya, for what knowing might cost him. She said she was going to the place Samuel hid the first lie. Amara stared. What place? Evan's voice dropped. Your old house. For a second, all Amara saw was the kitchen where Samuel used to hum off-key, the hallway where Naomi kept family photos arranged like proof, the front step where 19-year-old Amara stood after the funeral, holding a casserole dish from a neighbor whose name she never remembered. Her old house. The first place her mother learned to survive by editing the truth. The phone buzzed. Dead number. Do not go home for answers. Home was built to rehearse the lie. Amara looked at the message, then at Evan. You are going to testify. I need protection. You had protection. You called it a fiancé. He flinched. Good. Some pain is only information arriving late. Amara stood. Detective Bell will decide what you get. Priya will decide what you sign. Janelle will decide whether you leave this building emotionally intact. Outside the glass, Janelle lifted one hand. I accept. Evan looked smaller again. And you? Amara opened the door. I decide whether you matter. Bay 17 did not look evil. That offended Janelle. I was promised villain lighting, she whispered. Detective Bell glanced at her. You watch too much television. And yet I am usually right. The warehouse bay was clean, square, and industrial. Gray floor, white lights, numbered shelving, sealed crates, a coffee machine humming in the corner like someone worked late here and filed paperwork and went home to dinner. That was the horror of it. Not blood on the walls, not screams. Systems rarely look like nightmares from the outside. They look organized. Priya had secured the entry warrant through Bell's office after Evan's statement, and the Osprey Dawn schedule matched the pendant coordinates. Seo-jun had argued against Amara coming, not loudly. He was learning that volume did not make control less controlling. This is evidence recovery, he had said. This is my father's route. It is unsafe. So was my kitchen floor at 12:17 in the morning. Amara. Behind me, she said. He stopped, then nodded once. So now he stood behind her as Bay 17 opened. The first crate contained phones, hundreds of them, not new, used, labeled by date and initials. The second crate contained passports, some real, some excellent fakes. The third contained contracts, consent forms, employment transfers, marriage affidavits, guardianship forms, all signed, all witnessed. Priya's face hardened as she lifted one page with gloved hands. "These are not random." Belle photographed the crate. "Explain." "This is paperwork used to make coercion look voluntary." Amara felt the words enter her body. Coercion made voluntary. That was the whole week. Her sister in her dress. Her mother with an affidavit. Evan needing a phone. Saul wanting a meeting. All of them did not want her dead. They wanted her yes. Even a broken yes. Even a cornered yes. Even a yes signed in a room with no shadow. Janelle opened a smaller box on the side shelf. "Amara." Her voice had changed. Amara crossed the floor. Inside were photographs, not of strangers, of her, at college, outside the apartment, at Bellamy Bridal, at the chapel. One photograph showed her as a child, standing between Samuel and Seo-jun's father. The same photograph Han had brought, but this copy had writing on the back. Belle held it under the flashlight. Consent witness, daughter heard promise. Amara felt the warehouse tilt. Seo-jun moved, then stopped himself. She saw it, the restraint, the cost of it. "What promise?" she asked. No one answered. Then Hyen entered from the side door. Alone. Good. No extra guards, no unnecessary shadows. His face was calm, but his breathing was not. "We found the vehicle Maya used." Amara turned. "Where?" "3 blocks from your old house." "And Maya?" Hyen looked at Seo-jun, then Amara. "Gone." Janelle cursed softly. Belle's phone rang. He listened for 5 seconds, then looked at Amara. "Ms. Cole, your mother just arrived at your old house." Amara looked at the crate of signatures, at the photographs, at the sentence on the back. Home was built to rehearse the lie. Her father's warning had told her not to go home for answers. It had not said answers would not go home without her. Seo-jun spoke quietly. "You do not have to do this tonight." Amara looked at him. "Yes," she said. "I do." Amara did not fly to Seoul because Han Yo-rin told her to. She flew because Bay 17 proved Los Angeles was only the hand. Seoul was the wrist. The decision took 6 hours, 3 legal calls, 2 arguments, 1 silent elevator ride with Seo-jun, and Janelle saying, "If you die overseas, I will resurrect you just to yell." Priya stayed in Los Angeles with Detective Bell and the evidence. Janelle wanted to come. Amara said no. Janelle said several things a friendship contract would probably classify as hostile. Then she hugged Amara so tightly the gold pendant pressed between them. "You call me every 6 hours," Janelle said. "I will." "Video, not text." "Yes. And if he," Janelle pointed at Seo-jun, "does one mysterious nonsense thing without explaining it, I am suing him personally." Seo-jun inclined his head. "Understood. Stop accepting threats politely. It is unsettling." "I will try to receive them with more panic." Janelle stared. Was that a joke? Amara looked at Seo-jun. His face revealed nothing, but his eyes had changed. "Maybe," Amara said. On the plane, she sat by the window. Seo-jun sat across the aisle. He could have sat beside her. He did not. Small mercy, large meaning. Clouds moved beneath them in silver sheets. The city disappeared. The ocean opened. Somewhere below, ships carried containers through dark water, each one numbered, sealed, and trusted by people who would never know what else moved inside the world. Amara opened the Osprey Dawn folder. There were copies of signatures. Women, men, immigrants, employees, spouses. People turned into paperwork. Paperwork turned into permission. On a permission turned into profit. Some had signed under threats. Some had signed without reading English. Some had signed because a husband, a boss, a mother, a sponsor, or a lawyer said, "This is for your protection." Protection. The word had followed Amara across the ocean. "Why Seoul?" she asked. Seo-jun looked up. "Because Saul controls the original ledger." "And you did not tell me because?" "Because I did not know if he still had it." That is the practical answer. He looked at her then. "Because if I told you, you would ask why Samuel trusted Saul before he trusted your mother." Amara closed the folder. "I am asking now." The cabin lights reflected in the window, turning them both into ghosts. Seo-jun was silent long enough that she thought he would refuse. Then he said, "Your mother wanted Samuel to sell the root." Amara went still. "You knew that?" "My father knew." "And yours told you?" "No." His mouth tightened. "Saul did." That name again. Always arriving like a bill. What did Saul want from Samuel? Seo-jun looked at the folder. A daughter. Amara's skin went cold. "Say that carefully." He did. "Not ownership, not marriage. Witness." "Witness to what?" "The promise made after my father was wounded." Amara saw the photograph again. Samuel, Seo-jun's father, herself as a child between them. "I was 7. Yes. A child cannot consent." "No." His answer came fast. Too fast to be performance. "Then why do they need me?" Seo-jun leaned forward, elbows on knees, still too far away to touch her. "Because Samuel made your adult consent the lock." Amara stared at him. He built the contract so no root transfer, no guarantor seat, no operational control could move unless you, as an adult, chose it under witness. Why would he do that? Because everyone else could be bought. The sentence should have made her proud. Instead, it made her tired. "And what if I do not want to be the lock?" Seo-jun's face changed. "Then I will help you break the door." Amara looked away first. Not because she was weak, because some promises are more dangerous when you want to believe them. Her phone buzzed. Not the dead number. "Janelle." "Video call," Amara answered. Janelle's face filled the screen, too close to the camera. A live check. Alive. Kidnapped check. Annoyed. Acceptable. Then Janelle's expression shifted. "Priya found something in the freeze petition." Amara sat straighter. "What?" "Your mother's affidavit was uploaded from Evan's office." "Evan?" "No," Janelle said. "Maya's login." The call crackled. For half a second the screen glitched. Then another face appeared behind Janelle. Maya, pale, terrified, whispering. "Amara, do not trust the Seoul woman." The call cut. Saul Han did not look like a monster. That was disappointing in the way truth often is. He was 70, maybe older, with silver hair, a dark suit, and hands folded neatly on the table. No rings, no visible weapon, no theatrical scar. He looked like a chairman, a grandfather, a donor whose name appeared on hospital walls. Men like Saul did not need to look dangerous. They outsourced the evidence. Han Yo-rin stood near the wall. Seo-jun stood behind Amara. The black table waited. And for the first time, Amara noticed what her father's message would later name. The table had no shadow. Light came from beneath the glass as well as above it, flattening every object placed on it. The contract looked suspended. The pen looked weightless. A room designed to make consequences disappear. Saul spoke first. "You look like Samuel." Amara did not answer. "Not the face," he said. "The refusal. You wanted a meeting. Speak." Han Yo-rin's eyes flicked toward Saul. Maybe disapproval, maybe admiration. Saul smiled. "Your father trusted blunt instruments. My father is dead. Because he trusted the wrong soft ones." Amara's stomach tightened. Saul opened the contract folder. "You have seen Bay 17. "Yes." "Then you understand what Osprey Dawn can do if released without control." "I understand what it has already done under yours." "No," Saul said. "You understand a room full of paper. I understand governments, ports, prosecutors, families, and men like Park who do not care who bleeds when a root collapses." There it was. The polished argument. The one every powerful person kept in a locked drawer. Yes, the system is cruel. Yes, people were harmed. But if you expose it, more people will suffer. Therefore sign. Therefore obey.
Therefore, let the person who built the cage keep the key, because he knows where the hinges are. Saul pushed the pen toward her. Sign the containment transfer. I freeze Osprey Dawn. Remove Park. Clear your mother from prosecution. Protect your friend, and let your company operate without blood on its doors. Amara looked at the pen. And Seo-jun, for the first time, Saul looked at him. Kang Seo-jun returns to Seoul. Seo-jun said nothing. Amara heard everything. The old claim, the old leash. The old word they would probably call duty. He is not part of my contract, Amara said. Saul's eyes returned to her. Everyone is part of a contract. Some people simply cannot see the signatures. Han-yorin placed a second document on the table. Naomi Cole's name was on the first page. Maya's on the second. Evan's on the third. Your family has already signed, Saul said. You are the final consent. Amara stared at the names. Her mother, her sister, her ex. All of them on paper before her, arranged like a family portrait made of knives. If she signed, the pressure stopped. That was the offer. The freeze stopped. The evidence stayed contained. Janelle stayed safer. Priya could fight smaller fires. Detective Bell could close one part of the case. Maya might live long enough to explain herself. Seo-jun would leave. Maybe that was safer too. Some choices are traps because they contain one mercy. The phone buzzed. Samuel Cole's dead number lit the room. Saul's smile disappeared. The message read, "Do not sign where the table has no shadow." Amara looked at the table, then at the pen, then at Saul. For the first time since she entered the room, the old man looked less like a judge and more like a man who had heard a locked door open behind him. That number should be dead, Han-yorin said. Her voice was quiet, too quiet. Amara turned the phone so they could see it. So should my father. Saul's hand closed once. Not much. Enough. Seo-jun saw it too. Amara understood then. Not everything. Enough. The warning was not magic. It was a system. Samuel Cole, the man who wrote birthday cards carefully because love deserved legibility, had built safeguards the way he built manifests, layered, numbered, triggered by movement. A dead man's route through living machines. The first warning had not come because Seo-jun found her. Seo-jun had replied, but Samuel had sent the doorbell. The message before the black car. The pressure around the phone. The pendant. The coordinates. The photograph. The phrase about the girl hearing the promise. All of it had been waiting for the same condition. Forced consent. Amara looked at the contract. My father knew you would try to make me sign. Saul's face settled back into control. Your father knew many things too late. No, Amara said. He knew this early. She lifted the pendant. He made me the lock. No one spoke. So she continued. But not because he wanted me trapped. Because every transfer needs my adult consent, freely given after danger reveals itself under witness. Han-yorin's eyes changed. Amara had found the language. Priya would have loved that. Law is often just power forced to use nouns. Saul said, You do not understand the mechanism. Then correct me. He did not. The silence was a signature. Amara stood. Seo-jun moved half a step, then stopped. Still behind her. Still listening. She looked at him. You thought you were protecting the contract. His voice was rougher than before. Yes, My father made you a witness. Seo-jun's face went still. Not empty, struck. Amara turned back to Saul. That is why you needed him back in Seoul. Not because he belongs to you, because if he stands behind me and I refuse, you cannot claim I was taken by him. Han Yorin closed her eyes briefly. There it was. The reveal beneath the reveal. Everyone had tried to make Seo-jun look like her captor, because if he was her captor, her refusal could be dismissed. If he was her witness, her refusal became valid. Amara almost laughed. The whole machine had depended on turning the one dangerous man honest about danger into the villain, so polite thieves could keep their clean hands. Saul's voice hardened. Careful, Miss Cole. The word travelled across the table. Be careful. The first warning. The old fear. The new meaning. Amara picked up the pen. Seo-jun inhaled once behind her. She did not sign. She snapped the pen in half. The sound was small. The room heard it like thunder. I refuse, Amara said, freely. In front of your envoy, in front of Kang Seo-jun, in front of whatever cameras a man like you pretends he does not need. Saul stood. Han Yorin did not. That mattered. Amara turned to her. You came to Los Angeles because you thought I was still the girl in the photograph. Han said nothing. I am not. The phone buzzed one final time. Dead number. This message was longer. Good. Now choose the witnesses they cannot buy. Amara looked at it, then smiled. Not because the danger was gone, because her father, flawed and secretive and infuriatingly strategic, had finally given her something useful without asking her to disappear inside it. A choice. The first witness Amara called was Janelle. Not because Janelle was calm. Janelle answered on the first ring, yelling, "Alive check!" "Alive," Amara said. "Kidnapped check." Annoyed. "Good. Who do I sue?" Amara looked through the glass wall at Saul, who was speaking quietly to Han Yorin with the careful anger of a man whose room had betrayed him. "Everyone," Amara said. Janelle went still. "I am listening. Get Priya. Get Detective Bell. Get the evidence from Bay 17 duplicated and sent to 3 places that do not like each other: Federal, Port Authority, and Press. Amara. Choose witnesses they cannot buy." On the screen, Janelle's face changed. Not fear. Recognition. That sounds like Samuel. Amara touched the pendant. This time, it is me. The second witness was Priya, who said only, "Finally," and began building a legal detonation with the calm joy of a woman who had waited all week for clean jurisdiction. The third was Detective Bell, who listened, sighed, and said, "I knew my paperwork was going to become international." The fourth was Maya. That call came in before Amara could make it. Unknown Seoul number. Video. Maya appeared in a stairwell, hair messy, mascara gone, Amara's stolen dress nowhere in sight. She looked younger without theft on her face. Not innocent, just scared. "I did not know what Osprey Dawn was," Maya said. Amara stared at her sister through the phone. "You knew enough to take the folder." Maya cried silently. Amara had seen those tears used as keys too many times. This time, She did not open. "Where are you?" Maya looked away. "Mom told me signing would fix it." There it was. The family version of every institutional lie. Sign and it will stop. Smile and it will pass. Forgive and it will heal. Give us what we want and we will call the wound protection. Amara's voice stayed steady. "Where are you, Maya?" "Your old house." Amara closed her eyes. Across the hallway, Seo-jun watched her face and did not ask the question with his mouth. He already knew. Maya whispered, "There is something under the floor in Dad's office." The line crackled. "Mom is here." Then the camera shifted. For 1 second, Amara saw Naomi Cole behind Maya. Her mother was not crying. She was holding Samuel's old Bible, the one he used to keep on the office shelf. Naomi looked directly into the camera. "Amara," she said, "you have no idea what your father made me promise." The call ended. Amara stood in the Seoul hallway, thousands of miles from the first home that had taught her silence, and felt the next door open. Seo-jun's voice came from behind her. "What do you want?" No one had asked her that without an agenda until him. Maybe that was dangerous. Maybe it was honest. Maybe the difference mattered less than what she chose next. Amara looked at the dead phone screen, then at the broken pen in her hand. "I want witnesses," she said. "And then I want my mother's truth." Seo-jun nodded. "Behind you?" Amara looked at him. He did not move closer. He did not make the moment prettier than it was. He waited. Always enough space for her to choose. "Behind me," she said. The final message from Samuel's number arrived as they walked toward the elevator. Part 3 begins where your mother first lied.